What if I told you that an entire nation was set on fire because of a weapon that never existed? In early 2003, the world held its breath. The US government declared Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Nuclear, chemical, biological. The kind that could wipe out millions. But was it true, or a lie with a price in blood? Saddam Hussein had ruled Iraq since 1979 with fear and brutality. Torture chambers, secret police, and the crushing of rebellions. To his people, he was both a godlike ruler and a monster. To America, a ticking time bomb. Just 2 years earlier, the world had watched the Twin Towers collapse. The fear of another attack haunted America. And in that fear, whispers began. What if Saddam gives terrorists a weapon of mass destruction? President George W. Bush told the world, Iraq was hiding chemical weapons, nuclear programs, and even ties to al-Qaeda. The evidence? Secret photos, defectors' claims, intelligence briefings. But many experts warned, something didn't add up. March 19, 2003. The sky above Baghdad lit up with fire. The US launched shock and awe, a storm of missiles and bombs raining down in the night. Cameras captured the explosions. Millions watched, stunned. It took just weeks. Saddam's army melted away. By April, American tanks rolled through Baghdad. Statues of Saddam were toppled. Crowds cheered, but others whispered, this is just the beginning. The US military searched deserts, bunkers, and labs. But no weapons of mass destruction appeared. None. The justification for the war vanished into thin air. With Saddam gone, Iraq was leaderless. The Ba'athist regime dissolved overnight. Police disbanded. The army disarmed. A nation of 25 million suddenly had no order, no security. And into that chaos, fire was born. Former soldiers, angry tribes, and Islamist militants picked up weapons. They weren't fighting for Saddam. They were fighting against the occupiers. American convoys rolled through dusty streets. But hidden bombs, IEDs, tore through Humvees. Soldiers lived in constant fear. Every pile of trash, every parked car, could be death waiting. From the shadows came a new enemy, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. A brutal extremist who formed al-Qaeda in Iraq. His fighters launched suicide bombings, beheadings, and massacres. Iraq was bleeding. April 2004. Four American contractors were ambushed, killed, and mutilated in Fallujah. Their bodies hung from a bridge. The world gasped. The US vowed revenge, unleashing one of the most intense urban battles since Vietnam. Marines stormed the city. Street by street, house by house. Snipers on rooftops. Booby traps in doorways. The resistance was fierce. And under global pressure, the US pulled back. Fallujah remained in insurgent hands. But Iraq's wounds were deeper. Sunnis and Shiites, two branches of Islam, turned against each other. Militias formed, death squads roamed the streets. Neighbors became enemies overnight. In 2004, a fiery young cleric named Muqtada al-Sadr raised the Mahdi army, a Shiite militia. They battled US troops and rival Iraqis alike. Suddenly, Baghdad wasn't just a war zone, it was a battlefield of sectarian revenge. The holy city of Najaf became a fortress. US forces surrounded al-Sadr's militia, fighting near sacred shrines. The symbolism was explosive, mosques turned into war zones. Iraq was tearing itself apart. Then came the scandal. Photos leaked from Abu Ghraib prison, Iraqis tortured, humiliated, beaten by US soldiers. The images shocked the world, fueling fury against America and feeding insurgent propaganda. November 2004. The US returned to Fallujah with full force. Tanks, airstrikes, and thousands of Marines. Block by block, they crushed resistance. The city was reduced to rubble, but insurgents simply scattered, and spread. By 2006, Baghdad became a city of daily horror. Car bombs ripped through markets. Sectarian killings left bodies on sidewalks. The Iraqi capital, once a jewel of the Middle East, was drowning in blood. Then, the moment that unleashed hell. February 2006, the Golden Mosque in Samarra, one of Shiite Islam's holiest sites, was bombed. The explosion ignited a wave of revenge killings. Civil war had begun. Militias patrolled at night. They dragged men from homes, shot them in alleys, dumped bodies in rivers. Sunnis slaughtered Shiites. Shiites slaughtered Sunnis. Iraq was collapsing into madness. In 2007, the US made a gamble. A surge of 20,000 more troops poured into Iraq. They built walls between neighborhoods, hunted insurgents relentlessly, and tried to rebuild trust. Could it work, or was it too late? Something unexpected happened. Sunni tribes, once fighting America, turned against al-Qaeda's brutality. They formed the Awakening Councils, joining US forces to drive out extremists. June 2006. US jets bombed a safe house north of Baghdad. Inside was Zarqawi, mastermind of Iraq's bloodshed. His death was a victory, but the war was far from over. By 2008, violence began to decline. Neighborhoods once ruled by fear started to breathe again. For the first time in years, there was hope. But it was fragile. The US signed an agreement: combat troops would leave Iraq by 2011. For many soldiers, it meant survival. For Iraqis, it meant uncertainty. But what was the price? Over 4,000 American soldiers dead. Hundreds of thousands of Iraqis killed. Trillions of dollars spent. And a nation shattered. Saddam Hussein was captured in December 2003, pulled from a hole in the ground. In 2006, he was hanged, his last words defiant. His death was symbolic, but it didn't heal Iraq. Elections were held. Politicians rose. But the government was weak, plagued by corruption and infighting. Could this fragile democracy survive without US troops holding it up? 2010, the last US combat brigades rolled out. President Obama declared, the American combat mission in Iraq has ended. But many whispered, too soon. Because in the shadows, remnants of al-Qaeda regrouped. Militants who had fled were rebuilding, plotting something darker, something more terrifying. From the ashes of war, ISIS was born. Ruthless, organized, and far deadlier. The world thought Iraq's war was over. In truth, it had only changed names. The Iraq War had been sold on lies of weapons that never existed. But by the time the truth was known, the damage was irreversible. Imagine the voices of soldiers who never returned. The children who lost parents. The civilians caught between bombs and bullets. Their stories will never leave the soil of Iraq. 8 years of occupation. Countless battles. Endless grief. The Iraq War was supposed to be quick. Instead, it became one of the longest, bloodiest conflicts of the 21st century. The war reshaped the Middle East. Iran grew stronger. Terror groups multiplied. Trust in America's word crumbled worldwide. The aftershocks are still felt today. So we ask, was Iraq worth the cost? The lives lost, the lies told, the chaos unleashed. Or was it one of the greatest mistakes in modern history? Even today, the ghost of the Iraq War lingers. Every new conflict in the Middle East carries its scars. Every explosion, every refugee crisis, echoes back to 2003. And here's the haunting truth, the Iraq War never truly ended. It simply changed shape. The question is, what war is coming next?